All right, so it's now live streaming. And let me share our screen. And we are almost ready to go. Thank you to our families who have joined us. We're going to get started right at 5 o'clock. So just one more minute and we will begin. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being early. We have a really good discussion for you today with our, Mr. Medina, every time I introduce you, I just have to remind myself of all of the different hats that you wear, which by the way, that's a nice hat that you're wearing. Yeah, and all the ways that you support our families. So, okay, it is 5 o'clock. Let me get my last bit of tech handled, which is our recording of our Spanish. Got it. Okay. Welcome to today's conversation. Today's conversation, as you can see, it is CTE for student success. So we have asked Mr. Luis Medina, who's graciously accepted, to come with us today and talk about all the different career and technical education pathways and opportunities and options that our students have for them here in Alvord. So Mr. Medina, he is our Director of Adult Education, of Career and Technical Education, of Alternative Programs, and of 2 high schools. My goodness, that is a lot that you do, Mr. Medina. Thank you for being a campeón for our community. So anything that has to do with our 2 continuation schools, with our CTE pathways, or with our adult education programs, he is the guy. Thank you, Mr. Medina, for being here. I want to remind our families that we have Ms. Yvonne with us today. Gracias, Yvonne, for being here. Si necesitan esta información en español, en la parte inferior de su pantalla verán una opción que dice More o Más, o verán una esfera que dice Interpretation, y ahí pueden cambiar el idioma de inglés a español. Muchas gracias, Yvonne, por estar con nosotros. And just a general thank you for our parents who have joined us today and throughout this semester for the different family engagement and family empowerment videos. I know that it doesn't seem like it's a big deal, but it really makes a big impact on your child's academic success when you are connected, when you know what's going on with your child's schools, and when you know all of the different options. So just a big thank you on behalf of Alvord Unified School District. And with that, I will hand it over to Mr. Medina. Thank you, Mr. Medina, for being here.
Thank you, Dr. Cisneros. Welcome, everyone. Good evening. Thank you for this opportunity. We will talk tonight about CTE, or Career Technical Education, what it is, what can your student get from it, and more information for you. So let's talk first about CTE, and you saw the agenda there. But what is CTE in a nutshell? There is a lot of definitions. Here, we're looking at one of them. Basically, these are pathways, classes, courses, focus courses, if I can put it in layman terms or elementary terms, for high school students, so they can focus on a particular career throughout their years in high school. And it'll provide them with not just academic curriculum, but technical through real world knowledge and skills and experience from professionals, so they can be prepared for a future career. And we'll talk about future career possibilities in the future. Okay, so CTE is not like what it was before in the olden days, vocational ed, where in the 1900s, and we're talking about over 100 years ago, students were placed in certain pathways based on family history. For example, my family was a farmer, so we're going to go into ag science and take care of the piggies and the lambs and grow some corn and grow elote and everything, or other things, because it's based on family tradition. Because I live here on La Sierra Avenue, or here in this area, there was a lot of farms over here, for example. Or maybe it was as the years went by, because then classes started to evolve and develop. We're gonna put those kids in those classes, in vocational ed, because we're having other classes that we want the other kids to go, and we're gonna put these other kids in vocational ed. Again, the other kids and these other classes. It is not that. It has matured, evolved into something very special. You will see shortly, very special for our students. It'll prepare them.
Yeah, I think, Ms. Medina, as you're talking, it comes to mind that a lot of times there are those kids and those other kids where, as you're mentioning it, there used to be a pathway for the kids who were going to college, and the pathway for the kids who weren't was vocational education, and that just isn't the case anymore. There are a lot of students in the CTE pathways who are bound for college, but they're also really getting some hands-on job skills that they can take into their college to even help them pay for the university. So thank you for calling that out.
Yes, thank you for emphasizing that, Dr. Cisneros, because as one person mentioned, that person took a while back, for example, in another city, another district, drafting, engineering or drafting. We don't have that here, but for example, they took drafting because they wanted to be an architect, for example. But then they found out in the 2-3 years they took, they didn't like it. So they ended up taking another major in college, and now they're happy with that major that they chose. So again, the exposure of these CT pathways helps students in all ways, whether they're going to stick with it or not, or at least give them choices in the now or near future. Next slide, you see there, the skills are gained by CT students in various ways. Through the industry, there are specific skills, which we'll see in a little bit. And there's a lot of industries out there, which we'll get into in a bit. Also in specific technology, and then underemployment skills. When they get hired, they're gonna want not just employees, but future leaders. So they want those leadership skills built here at the high school level through a CT pathway, communication skills, interpersonal communication skills, how to treat employees, how to value employees, how to elevate employees, how to be a problem solver, how to have higher thinking skills. That's like number one on the list. And of course, 21st century work skills or soft skills, because nowadays a lot of things are in technology. I see some questions there, but let me know when I can answer questions, Dr. Cisneros.
Thank you for highlighting that. No, esta información no es solo inglés. En la parte inferior de su pantalla verá la opción de cambiar el idioma de inglés a español. Puede buscar la opción que dice Interpretation, o verá una esfera que ahí dice Interpretation, cambia de inglés a español, o tendrá 3 puntos que dicen More o más, y puede cambiar la información a español. Muchas gracias.
Okay. So in the next slide, we're looking at CTSOs. And what are CTSOs? Well, CTSOs are career and technical student organizations. And so these are organizations like the ones you see down there, there's acronyms. But these organizations, for example, FFA, I'm going to pull FFA. You see right there, FFA, Future Farmers of America. We have a class at Norte Vista High School, Ag Science, where students are learning how to deal with farm animals and farm industry. And they go to competitions against other schools that have an Ag Science program. For example, in Pomona or Indio or other districts, and they belong to the Future Farmers of America, CTSO organization. The point is, these CTSOs, or career and technical student organizations that the students belong in, they help students develop those leadership skills, employable skills, so that they're not just marketable, but also prepared once they're placed. They're going to be very effective supervisors in the future, effective employees. Next, you see that CTE also helps students demonstrate, we mentioned earlier, higher levels of academic skills, problem solving, how to be self-motivated, because in high school, like we all know in life, students can get unmotivated. Things happen in life. And so they learn how to problem solve and look at what is causing them to not be motivated and get up and go, these skills are taught in those pathways. Also, employability skills, academic results, and you have students who have high GPAs are more likely to be enrolled in college. This aligns with students who are involved in CTE will have a better graduation rate as well, because they have the mindset to persevere in CTE, in that pathway, and be committed and finish what they started.
Yeah, and then I also want to call out Mr. Medina. Not only do these students have that mindset, but they also have their CTE teachers who really bond and build this relationship, these family relationships with their students. And these teachers really care about their students, and they tutor them and they push them and they encourage them to make sure that they're meeting their GPA requirements and on track to graduate high school, have these skills, and then go on to college. So it's a fantastic organization and great options for our students.
Yes, very good point, Dr. Cisneros. That is a beautiful part of having a group or cohort of a pathway that keeps them focused. And the next slide, you're seeing registered pre-apprenticeships. And so these apprenticeships prepare students to succeed in a career. So for example, at Norte Vista High School, another example there, we have the electrical union, electricians union, or the plumbers union, or MITA, different unions, whether it's for electrician or plumbing or woodworking, whichever union, for example. And what they do is they come over and they show students examples, or they work together on building a shed. You have professionals coming to the school, or students go to their area where they are located, and they start learning from professionals, and they start seeing and shadowing these professionals. In the case they're currently offered, what we're offering there is automotive. We have an automotive class in Norte Vista High School, and culinary as Norte Vista High School, and La Sierra. And these are now currently under pre-apprenticeships, where we're having Riverside, RCUE, or Riverside County Office of Education, partner with these two programs, automotive at Norte Vista, these students and teacher, and culinary at La Sierra. And so they are doing or learning pre-apprenticeship skills with those two. Coming soon, construction. It's happening now, but it'll be more solidified. Construction, welding, and cabinetry.
That's such a great skill. I remember when I had to redo my cabinets in my home. I wish I had that skill because I paid somebody a lot of money to do it. Fantastic.
Yes, definitely. And so also work-based learning gives students to develop skills so they can apply in the workplace. In the district, in Alvord Unified School Districts, we're looking at some internships and student-led enterprises. So for example, in the district, we're looking at, in the future, hopefully having students do some internships. The students in construction we'll try to see if they can enter them with maintenance and operations, so they can learn how to shadow a custodian or a plumber or someone else who fixes HVAC, and hopefully get them through that pipeline if we're going to get HVAC as a CTE pathway, for example, or maybe, again, custodial work. That could be a pathway in the future. Other districts are doing that.
Great.
So these are just some ideas for the future. If you want to see what CTE offers, we have 15 pathways. I believe I shared a link with Dr. Cisneros with the pathways there that we have in the 3 different traditional high schools. And we have at La Sierra different pathways from biotechnology, patient care, food science, dietetics and nutrition, food service, hospitality, and public safety, or law enforcement. And here at Norte Vista, again, we have ag mechanics, agri-science, ornamental horticulture. We have production and managerial arts, cabinetry, millwork and woodworking, residential and commercial construction, food science, dietetics, and nutrition, and systems diagnostic service and auto repair.
Wow.
We have at Hillcrest, we have performing arts, production and managerial arts, and marketing. So we have those three.
Here you
And
go, sir.
so, thank you, sir.
Pulled it up. Thank you.
Yes, yes.
So this is what we have at Hillcrest High School, arts, media, and entertainment. We have marketing, sales, and services. Mr. Medina, can you explain this a little bit for me? Because I don't think I fully get it. So this is the industry sector, and then these are the different pathways that the students can choose from?
Yes. So when you look at the industry sector, there's like 16 of these. When you go to the website, it looks like a whole bunch of bubbles with the industry sectors. And inside each industry sector, you'll see arts and media entertainment, and then you'll see under performing arts, managerial arts. You'll see different pathways under each one of those sectors.
Okay.
And so Hillcrest is focusing mainly on arts and entertainment and marketing, sales, and services. Those are the two industry sectors through those CTE pathways.
Okay, so a student at Hillcrest High School can be in the arts and media entertainment, but they can choose from being in a drama CTE pathway or being in film production. They have a great film production and journalism program there. Okay, I think I understand this. And then they can also do marketing. Let me scroll over now. This is La Sierra. Can you talk about La Sierra High Schools?
Yeah, so La Sierra would be more like the health academy, because they get health academy grant also besides CTE funding. And so here biotechnology, biomedical classes. And so they have, for example, a state-of-the-art a computerized bodies or screen of a body that's like a table where you can see body parts in like a not virtual reality, but just in a computer form, and you can start moving it with your hands. You start moving pieces of body organs and stuff and tissues because they're looking at the body through that class. And it exposes students to the healthcare pathway through the feeder program. You come in as a freshman, you're taking some concentrated courses, the theoretical classes, and then you got the capstone, which leads to the work-based learning where you get more hands-on practical classes.
And then these students are, do we have, do I understand correctly, do we have a partnership with Kaiser Permanente?
Yes, the patient care is the one that does, because that one then leads to a certified nurse assistant
Wow. Wow.
certification. And I
Yes.
went to the graduation last summer at RCC. We had 11 students graduate.
Wow. So we had 11 students graduate high school with the certified nurse's assistant certificate. They're ready to go to college. They're also ready to get a CNA job, which is a really well-paying job.
Yes.
And then I also know that we have we just showcased it on our social media in partnership with, we held a big meeting here at La Sierra High School. We have great culinary arts academy at La Sierra.
Yeah. Yes. That building there that was created took 2-3 years, about $2-3 million through different grants. Huge state-of-the-art building. Dr. Cisneros side. The students are fortunate to have such a building where you have industry tools, refrigerator, kitchens, like the stuff you see in big restaurants or on TV shows, and they get to make food and create food and learn hands-on right there. And their chefs, the teachers are chefs, both teachers, the nutrition and culinary teachers, and they create food to sell to the staff or district staff, and they sell so they can create funds for that program or programs.
And it looked and it smelled delicious too. And then this is new at La Sierra, right? You have the Law Enforcement Public Safety Academy?
Yes, and so this is a quote unquote pilot program with 2 periods this year, and we want to extend it to 4 or 5 periods for students because a survey was done. What is the next CTE pathway you are interested in? And most of them came back with public services or public safety or law enforcement.
All right, moving on then to Norte Vista. This is very colorful. It's a lot.
Norte Vista has the most. And so you can see that there's the agriculture and natural resources pathway where you have the ag mechanics, ag science, and ornamental, where they make flowers, all related under the agricultural and natural resources industry sector. You have also arts and media entertainment. Just like Hillcrest, you have students recording daily announcements with at Norte Vista. They have like a studio. So if you think, Channel 9 News and you have a studio there with the cameras, it kind of looks like that. And
Wow.
students are the ones speaking, and they go out on the field of the football games or volleyball games or throughout the campus, and they start interviewing students and or staff of the activities, so they can promote those activities and get more students to enroll and to be interested in school, for example. So that's that class there. And then you have building and construction, which is huge. That one is huge. These students, Dr. Cisneros was there at the CTE stakeholders meeting, where some students went through this pathway and then they got connected. It's about networking sometimes. And you have the teacher there, Mr. Ferguson, who connected one of the students with a union, and that student right now is making, I don't know if he's making 130 or 150,000 out of high school, or at the age of 20 or so. Dr. Cisneros, that kid's going to have a lot of potential in his near future.
Yeah.
Next, you have hospitality, tourism, and recreation through food science, and that's a class there at Norte Vista. And then you have the auto class, quote unquote, through the transportation sector, system diagnostic, service and repair. District vehicles are taken to Norte Vista to this auto shop to get, let's say, oil change or tune-up or brakes. And the teacher, Mr. Cerrone, his father owns his own business, mechanics business, so they have all that background. And of course, our students know what they're doing. They're being supervised, and everyone signs a waiver. Now, next you have for the continuation schools. I'm here at Albert Continuation, and even though our schools go on quarters, we don't have enough time to give students 300 hours because it takes a lot to get through a pathway. We do offer at least these two courses, a CTE course to expose them to CTE through Pax Patterson. In a classroom, there's different centers where they can learn how to, for example, how to stitch a fake arm or draw blood from a dog, veterinarian, to nursing, to how to cook, many classes, many exposures through like 8 lessons. And we do have an intro to construction class here as well. Also at the 4 middle schools, there's that same CT Pax Patterson exploratory course, but also at Loma Vista, we started this year agriculture, which is similar to the one at Norte Vista because it feeds students to there. And then in Villegas, we have a very competitive family and consumer sciences, where these middle school kids are learning how to cook. You're talking about middle school kids learning how to cook, and they compete. They have their suits ready to go, and they compete against other schools. They got in second and first place. I've been to these competitions. And then at Wells Middle Schools, you have the woodworking there, 1 and 2. You will see examples of these classes very shortly.
Let me go back to the other presentation that we have. I mean, that is incredible, Mr. Medina, that we have so many options, and it really just depends on what the child has interest in, that they can, select from building a house, building a shed, doing all the plumbing or the woodworking, being an auto mechanic, to being a chef, being a TV and film producer. It's fantastic. Thank you for the work that you're doing for our students.
Welcome. So here are some examples of the products our students are doing at the Wells Wood Shop, at Wells Middle School. Wood 1, enter to cabinetry. There's some examples, tortilla press. You have for the napkins, the rollers right there. You have mirrors.
And these are items that, if the child would like to, or the student would like to, they can go to, community fairs and sell their wares. It's amazing. Is this a video we're going to watch, Mr. Medina, on that program?
I believe it's that one. Let's see.
My full name is Jason Josue Santin. I am in my 4th period woodshop. I wanted to sign up. I was here last year and I wanted the full ride. It's an amazing class and I've learned a lot of skills from it, like just normal basic day cutting wood. I've learned a little bit of discipline, when to wait, when to do things, how to do things. It's just a fun class overall. My favorite project have to be the bench. You can make the stands, the bottom part of the bench, and you cut those, you sand them a little bit, make them a little bit smooth, and then after you add the three pieces that you cut into 30 by 3 inches, and you slowly put plugs into them, you add them onto the bench on little stands, then you sand all of it together, you add the oils, and then boom, you have your bench. It takes hard work and trustmanship. If you can be trusted around machines, because machines can obviously be very dangerous, and learning how to use machines and how to properly adjust them to the right size. It takes a little bit of time, but it's not something that'll take you a lifetime. It's just little skills that you have to develop maybe over like a year or two. Mr. G's just a funny guy. Mr. G's great, he's always been there for me. He's actually helped me outside of woodshop with my problems in school. And like, just without cutting wood, the class is fun. I get to see my friends, I get to talk to them, I get to help the newer students that are in there. It's just a great time. If you want to try something new, this is the perfect time. Woodshop is a great class. It teaches me a lot of skills about myself. It taught me discipline. It helped me learn my timing. It helped me with a lot, and I think woodshop would be a perfect fit for anybody.
Fantastic. You heard it directly there from the students. So thank you for sharing. Mr. Medina, I'm having some trouble with with a couple of the videos that we have. So we have two that I can display if you'd like me to. It is the Automotive and the Culinary Arts Academy. Would you like me to display both of them or one of them, or what would you like to?
Before you may, I'm gonna just chime in. What the video showed is a Wells Woodshop intermediate cabinetry, where students now are making benches and tables and cabinets, big heavy duty stuff. And so that was one example. But yes, can you play the next one, Dr. Cisneros?
Yes, sir. And then if any of our community members have been to, for example, Norte Vista High School, you'll notice in the quad of Norte Vista High School, there's a bunch of beautiful wooden benches. Those are all student created.
My name is Alexander Arceo, and I am a junior here at Norte Vista High School. We are here in ag mechanics, or agricultural mechanics, here at Novi. The first year is like the intro class, so you're barely learning like the basic mechanics on how to start a welding machine, how to even like account for your angle of what you're working at, and basic stuff like that, and like how to measure. Year 2, we start getting into a bit more advanced. We start working more, we start practicing more, and you're giving more like freedom on what you want to do. You're able to come up with your own project, and you're able to just like go ham on it, pretty much. This year, my favorite project has been my SoCal Fair project. First is preparation. Make sure you have every material, make sure you have every machine, make sure that you have your angles right, make sure you have your measurements right, and then you set up your machines. So, for example, we had to start by looking for a very specific size of square tubing, and we had to make sure that we had that, and then we just cut it into 17-inch pieces, and how many of those pieces we cut. The skills we're learning here are like just basic like work ethic. Like you come in here and you're prepared, you always you're not slacking off, you're just, getting here, you work, you clean up after yourself, and you maintain the work environment. If you're looking into getting into trades, for sure look into this one. Welding is a very versatile trade. There's people that you just work in a shop. There's people that you go work out in the desert, like in pipelines and stuff. Or you can just go and work on like an oil rig, like offshore. So it's very versatile, and then also you could just use it at home if you have a welder. Like your car needs to be fixed or something, like there's something broken, just weld it together.
So with this one, you have an example where it's ag mechanics and students are building items, they're welding and learning how to measure for the purpose of that ag mechanics, ag science class, and also outside of that class. These students, as well as Most of our students, we're trying to have all our students become OSHA or Occupational Safety and Health Administration certified. So that way they know how to be safe in the working conditions. So they are OSHA certified, just so you know.
This video now, sir, I believe it's the Culinary Academy at La Sierra.
Okay.
I'm Emily Russi. I'm at La Sierra High School and I'm a senior. We're in the Culinary Center. This is La Sierra's new Culinary Center. It was built last year. It's been in the making for the last 3-4 years. Today I'm going to be making banana foster pancakes. It was like new, so I didn't know what was going to happen, but I wanted to do cooking and that was in the title of the class, so I was like interested and I thought it was cool. And this being built for the first time, I thought, oh, this is cool, new experiences, new fun, let's try. So the basic food and nutrition class, I learned how to use knife safety. Knife safety is learning how knives and not to cut other people and to keep myself safe. In that class, I also learned sanitization, like water and like cleaning plates properly, where people are not going to get salmonella or any other safety. Then, as a TA/tutor now, I've learned like the background of the kitchen. Like if Chef Mac or Lopez is gone, I'm in charge, so I know what's happening in the kitchen. Is the kitchen good? Do I need to do this to fix that? I would tell them, have fun. This is a really good class, and since we're here in the new Culinary Center, it's really new, so there's new stuff happening. There's new classes. We have a range of classes, so it doesn't matter if you're a beginner or you're advanced. We can like set you where you need to be, and any grade can do it, and you can learn anything even though you haven't learned anything. So please join.
All right, those are the videos.
Thank you, Dr. Cisneros. So we wanted to show you these videos because videos or images speak louder than words. And that's how our students in the various CTE sectors or pathways are learning how to become future employees or productive of society through our CTE pathways. There's more slides that we have on this presentation that gives you examples, and you can see and scroll through those slides. And we want to make sure that in the end, CTE is for everybody. It's for everybody. Some students may not want to go to university or may not want to go to a community college, but you know, we're always going to need, like someone said, a plumber, an HVAC technician, maybe a welder. They'll make more money, a lot more money than I will, I tell you that. And so we want to give them that opportunity and exposure at the high school level. And so that's what we're all about. We want to begin as early as possible at the middle school level. We have tried at the elementary with one school. It's a pilot right now. Right now, it's difficult to get to more elementary schools because of the needs at that level for kids to catch them up in the reading, in the writing, in the math, in the curriculum piece. There's other priorities, but we're trying to slowly but surely trying to expose them at that level with one school so far at Foothill Elementary. But for sure, we have it at the 4 middle schools and the traditional schools, and now at the continuation school.
Mr. Medina, this is gross. They dissected sheep brains?
Yes, so here at Loma Vista, Mr. Rasmussen, he's the CT teacher there. They have, again, the PaxPat exploratory wheel, and in this case, they are dissecting a sheep brain. They have it mailed, and then, you know, and they have it dissected and learn, see what students want to then go to, let's say, La Sierra, to the medical pathway, for example. Then you have here how to learn how to wire items, so students know a little bit more about that. It's all about exposure. Get their young minds to be exposed to a future career. Maybe they like this now. Maybe they don't like it at 10th grade and they can switch, but it brings exposure to them. And there you have the Ag Mechanics, Florida Design Ag Sciences from Norte Vista High School, the 3 Ag Science programs. And of course, the La Sierra Culinary. CTSOs, we talked about that. FCCLA is also, they're part of that organization. They compete against other schools.
And they won regionally, right? And then I remember that over the summer, some of our FCCLA students from Villegas Middle School and La Sierra, they were sent on a trip to compete at a national level to Seattle, all expenses paid by the district. So that is what a fantastic opportunity, not only to showcase your skills and develop those interpersonal skills, but also just to travel. That's fantastic.
Yes, they learn how to cook at that young age. It's hard to believe, but those middle school kids, the Dr. Senor was talking about Villegas, they are learning how to cook top notch, baking and cooking and ingredients. I mean, stuff. I don't know how to make cereal and sandwiches. Shame on me, but these kids can outdo me anytime, I tell you.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is more examples of just giving you kind of a bit of an insight to
Yes.
what the program at La Sierra looks like, the Culinary Academy program. I believe, Mr. Medina, that these pictures are showing us just Chef Mac's room, but Chef Lopez, which is, you know, the household, the home sort of home-based cooking, but Chef Lopez has an industrial kitchen.
Yes.
Yeah, no, it's amazing.
Yes. That's the Albert High right here, the exploratory labs, different centers you can see. From cooking, culinary, to you have one on robotics, and then on a beautician right there, science. And so you have different ones. At least at this school, we have that availability. A little construction over there, trying to change a lock, a little framing, how to fix a hole. We have guest speakers coming here, or students go out and they build their walls too and bring it down, you know, or they partner with Norte Vista Construction as well. Bring that exposure. There they go, making the little toolbox, you know, or little boxes. So we're trying to bring new classes next year. We're trying to bring yearbook journalism to Norte Vista. We're trying to bring another class for athletics at La Sierra, sports medicine. So then students know how an athletic trainer works. And then here at Hillcrest, we're trying to do a like a solar renewable energy CTE pathway for students. So we're trying to increase more classes as the years go by for students.
Yeah, and then one of the things that I think we heard today with a meeting that Mr. Medina and I had with RCC is that there are different continuation options or ways that students can continue their learning if they really appreciated, for example, the culinary program here at our schools. They can go into RCC and continue that work through their own certificate programs and their own pathways. They have a lot that they align well with what we're doing too. So that way, if a student really finds their passion through one of these CTE pathways, they can continue the work in university. So it's not just something that they do here, and then when they graduate, they're done. There's job opportunities, but then there's also continuing opportunities for education.
Yes, and that slide says it all. Thank you for sharing that, Dr. Cisneros. What a classroom, and no offense to the classroom, is just a different way of learning and different methods of delivery of instruction, different focus, different targets. What it's offered in a classroom compared to what CTE offers. Look at the hands-on right there. Just a little example for you.
Now, what a fun example that math in, like when I was a math teacher, we did a lot of problem solving and projects around building and around all sorts of different examples, but students in the CTE program actually do the math while they're building. That is something I hadn't thought of. That's fantastic.
And yes, again, it's for everybody. We're gonna need various types of laborers in the future, and that's what makes students have that opportunity. Our school, our district makes that opportunity, and having Dr. Cisneros and his programs expose this to you, parents, so you can see what we're all about. we're about exposing our students to CTE so we can give them a possible better future for your families.
Absolutely. And I wanted to just kind of elevate something that one of our school counselors shared with us at the CTE meeting that we had about 2 weeks ago, Mr. Medina. He kind of gave us some gentle pushback on the notion that not all students will go to university, not all students will go to college. He guided us and reminded us that even if a student goes through the CTE program, they can then use that skill, for example, plumbing or welding or carpentry, graduate from our schools with that certificate, go into the labor force while studying, while being in university, and being able to pay their way through school with a marketable skill. I am riddled, just saddled, like carrying a lot of student debt because I didn't have a marketable skill up until I graduated university. The students that are graduating from Norte Vista, La Sierra, Hillcrest High School, they have this skill that they can put to work immediately after they graduate. And then if they so choose, they can use those funds to graduate from university without any debt or with less debt. And that is something that a lot of students just can't do without these skills. So it's not just for students who don't go to college. It's as it says here, as Mr. Medina is calling out, it's the CTEs for all.
It's a win-win situation, like you said, Dr. Cisneros.
Absolutely. So now, families, thank you for joining us. We're going to open it up for any questions that you might have. You have Mr. Medina, the director of the program, in the room. So now is the time, and this is the space. If you have any questions that you'd like to ask, you can either unmute yourself or type it into the chat. And speaking of CTE, I see Anayeli is cooking the culinary arts going on in the household. I don't know what you're making, Anayeli, like unas empanadas or something, but I'm wanting some. That looks yummy.
Quesadillas.
Quesadillas, yes. And then I got a question in the chat. Will I upload this to the Alvord YouTube channel? Yes. Yes, all of our presentations are uploaded to our Alvord. It's a weird name. It's like Alvord Org official YouTube, but yes, it'll be there. Thank you, Mac. Do we have any other questions? Great. Hearing none. We do have a question. ¿Cómo podemos inscribir a nuestros hijos? How can we sign our students up?
Okay, so the school counselors began promoting these CTE programs at the middle school level, and this can be during this time of the year or in November, because they need to come up with classes. And I'm talking about eighth graders. So that way the counselor and the eighth graders talk about these options of CTE pathways, because we, number one, have a CTE eighth grade showcase where we talk about CTE and we take the CTE programs to the schools, the middle schools, or students go to the high schools and see it for themselves. So then the counselor follows up with the student to then register them in those courses in ninth grade or in high school. But what I recommend is, if the student misses that CTE eighth grade showcase opportunity, for the student, go to his or her counselor, guidance counselor, and get more information about their high school, their feeder high school, the one they're going to, what programs it has, or maybe what the other high school, La Sierra, for example, or Hillcrest has, because maybe that my student is interested in another CTE pathway that this high school is not offering. So then we have transfer through the district coming up in January, I believe, Dr. Cisneros.
Yes, the intra-district transfer process starts in January. So that would be families, if you, for example, if your child is scheduled to go to La Sierra High School, but you say, I really want them in, I don't know, the film production program over at Norte Vista. Well, in January, we're going to be sending out a notification on our Parent Square, and it'll be on our social media as well, letting you know that the intra-district transfer process is open, and you can submit your application to do an out-of-school transfer to go to another school, and you can cite this as being your reason.
Una pregunta, señorita.
Adelante.
Cuando antes de terminar el año, que su cáncer no les da unos papeles a los niños a llenar
Llenar de qué?
de los talleres que va a haber en la Nortevista.
Yeah, so the question is, before the year is over, do counselors provide students with information or with forms to fill out for these different programs?
Yes, so in la escuela media or middle school in 8th grade, because they're about to go to 9th grade, the counselors and the students, the 8th graders meet and go over all these courses that they need to take, like math, English, social studies, science, PE, electives, throughout the 4 years, and also classes like AVID or IB or CTE pathways. They have a whole menu so they can see. And some students, maybe most, if not all, have seen the 8th grade showcase and they've been exposed to the CTE pathway. So they have a visual of what they're seeing on the list of what they saw in the showcase, and maybe they missed the showcase. But then the counselor will go over those options of the CTE pathways from that paper that they talk to the students. So then they start filling out their interest besides the classes that they must take, required classes.
Got it, thank you. So
Sí, porque ese es como un taller externo de que si tienen todas sus clases completas, les pueden dar uno de esos talleres, ¿no?
¿puede repetir la pregunta? Se está cortando.
Que como decir que sus clases están completas. Esas son opciones que les dan de como talleres que son.
So,
Well,
Ms. Is this something that can be taken, like if does a student have to be in the full pathway, or can this also be given as like a standalone class? I believe that might be the question.
So it has to be a full pathway for the student to begin and end, because it's a cohort or group of students beginning the feeder program, year 1, year 2 concentrator, year 3 the capstone course. So it's one class. Now, if they probably don't feel that that's their class that first year, it happens rarely, but it happens. They can talk to the counselor and try to switch to another pathway. It all depends if there's room, with the master schedule or that class or that course.
And are there grade requirements or GPA requirements to be in the programs?
Yes, they're not as high as like IB or Abbott, but yes, I would say a C or better to stay.
Good.
So there's flexibility to stay in these programs, and there's a lot of support
Beautiful, thank
to
you.
improve that grade.
Yeah, and I think that one of the students in the video shared about that, about how the teacher was really kind of on his case and making sure that he got his grades up and maintain the grades so that he can continue in these programs. Okay, so then we do have a couple of questions. What was the elementary school that does CTE, or does it only start in middle school?
So the one that is piloting is Foothill Elementary. I emailed Mrs. Melissa Creasy this morning if I can go in January sometime to go visit her class to look at some of the products that the students are doing, or some of the stuff they've been working on through the PaxPat labs. And they either started a month ago or recently, or they'll start in January, but I emailed her, and that is Foothill Elementary. Foothill Elementary, we only have one so far. I did reach out to Principal Olheiser at La Granada. We have another program, the same, to take to another elementary to grow it there. And I asked her if she's interested. I need to present it to her to see if it fits in that schedule they have, because I know they need to teach students how to improve their reading and writing and math. That's priorities. And so I'm working with them at a second school.
So right now we have it at Foothill, and potentially we'll be expanding it next year. We have another question. My son is in the 9th grade at Norte Vista, and he's in the Puente program. Can he also be in Puente and CTE?
Great question. I wish I can answer that question. It's more for the guidance counselor.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if there's enough room, because there's 6 classes, and I know they have to take their required classes to graduate with 220 credits at the end of 12th grade. Please consult a counselor.
Yeah, talk to the counselor if your child is in a specialized program already, if they're in AVID, if they're in IB, AP courses, things like that, to see if they can then participate in these programs. Because one of the things that we want also is we don't want our students to be overwhelmed or overburdened and being in many programs, many different rigorous classes at the same time, and then they they're not successful. So I think Mr. Medina took the words right out of my mouth. Talk to the guidance counselor that can help them. And then the last question is, my son is in the 6th grade. Can he be in these programs?
In 6th grade, and so we have middle schools, they're 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And yes, depending on the middle school. And again, we have different pathways at the middle school levels. For example, Arizona has a CTE exploratory class.
Yeah, and then I know that Loma Vista, they just got their garden, their ag sciences there as well. Over at Villegas, they have Mrs. Pruitt, who teaches what is that program called, sir? It's like
Family and Consumer Sciences.
Family and Consumer Sciences. Yeah. So yes, Ruby, your child can participate in the 6th grade. It just depends on what school they're at right now, what the different options are for them. But then when they're getting ready to promote from 8th grade, go into high school, then you can really explore, do I want them to go to Norte Vista for the Green Construction Academy? Do I want them to go to La Sierra for the Health Academy? Do I want them to go to Hillcrest for the journalism program? That would be a conversation for you to have with the guidance counselors and with your child to see what works best for them. So I think, for the question specifically to your children, I think Mr. Medina has the right answer. Talk to your guidance counselor, see what is available at your school, and then get them in. Great questions. Great. We still have a little bit more time, so I'm wondering if we have any other questions, or do we let Mr. Medina have the rest of his night? Great, Mr. Medina, hearing none, just wanted to say thank you again for sharing all of this wisdom with us today, all of the different programs that we have available free of charge for our Alvord Unified School District students. These are from Foothill Elementary and Elementary School, all of our 4 middle schools, all of our high schools, all of our comprehensive high schools, and then the alternative high school as well. So Mr. Medina has been busy really building up and beefing up this program so that when our students graduate, they do have job marketable skills. One of the gentlemen who recently graduated, I think he's 18, he just graduated in June. He does plumbing, and he shared with us that he gets called to emergency situations. And there was one day where he made $1,500 in one day. That is bananas for an 18-year-old. What? I don't make that. I have a doctorate. That's amazing. Good for him. Yeah, so this is the sort of power that our CTE programs have, and the potential for really excellence and financial stability for our families. So thank you, Mr. Medina, for being here. Thank you, families. And of course, thank you so much to Yvonne for interpreting our conversation. Thank you so much, everyone.